The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Like a blowing leaf, we're back blowing into your life. It's Tom and Steve.
Blowing leaf.
It's Tom and Steve on The Local Show. You know, I was pleasantly surprised some of the, I always mess this up. Are they perennial or annual? What comes up every year?
Annual. Perennials.
Perennials.
No, wait a minute. It's annuals. I do the same thing. I mess them up every time.
I think a perennial favorite.
Okay, the text line.
The perennial, it comes up every year.
Okay, so
annual.
So if you want to straighten this
the
up,
text line,
the text line because you're screaming through the radio right now. 315-216-0273. You can reach out. You can tell us that we're stupid and we don't know the difference, or you can. We've been getting comments on the show. People saying, "Hey, here's a guest you should consider." 216-0273. The Tom adulation.
No, it's
or they say, "Don't bring that George guy back."
Right.
Yeah.
So, but my perennial, it had bloomed once. It was this beautiful lily, and I had like 3 or 4 of them, right? And they're a really sturdy plant. So it went away, and I thought, well, I'm going to go chop them down with everything else. But now they have big buds on them, and I think they're going to bloom again. So I think I get 2 rounds of these things.
Oh, cool.
Which are, pretty good. It's like the double mint twins.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Hey, George Powers is with
now
us.
that dates you, Tom.
Yes, it does. Yes. Remember Doublemint.
I do.
Owner of Powers Accounting hanging out with us today. How are you, George?
I'm excellent and getting better all the time.
Is it tax time yet? I don't
we just finished on Monday was the corporate tax deadline for annual corporation taxes on extension.
Okay.
So that was done. And then October 15th, we have the extensions for individuals that didn't get their stuff done. So
Doesn't everybody get it done on time, George?
No.
Is it tough for you guys to stay on track? I mean, you have how big of a crew do you have at Powers Accounting?
I think we now have 11 people.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of times.
Does everybody?
And very little at other times.
Yeah. Does it? Each person get a chunk of clients? A block of clients. We pretty
much. We have obviously different people doing different things, but on the professional team does have a block of clients that they are assigned to, and that they handle on a regular basis. Yes, we try to do something for our clients on a monthly basis. Is the concept.
I see. Well, that's good. Steve, are you going to say anything?
No, I was just thinking of how you can write off golf. Actually, so tell us.
That's a tough.
Believe me, people have written you off golf.
I was just thinking,
written me off for it too.
Let's pretend I had to go to Florida and I don't know, do something. And how do people take advantage of the tax advantage? I mean, they're there. People say they're loopholes. They're really not loopholes. They're the law.
Just law. The way you write off golf is you own a golf course.
Well, that's a tough way to make money. That's for sure.
It is. But golf would technically be called entertainment, and entertainment is not deductible anymore.
Has anybody golfed with you?
I guess well, that's not entertainment. Well, yeah, that would be entertainment, I suppose. They'd laugh a lot.
Yeah, so there's a whole list of things people, because it's political season. People say, well, so-and-so doesn't pay taxes, and rich people do. Well, let's just go with it. Rich people do not pay any taxes. True or false?
Well, that would be false. I know my clients that make the most money pay the most taxes.
Okay, the most percentage or the most money, or both?
Both. Because as your income goes up, we have a graduated income tax schedule. So as your income goes up, you're paying a higher percentage. But what you also don't know is it hits you in other ways. There are other taxes that come in. That if you make over $250,000 in wages, you have to start paying additional Medicare tax. That is for the ACA.
What's the ACA?
American. It's Obamacare.
Okay, gotcha.
There is additional net investment income tax that you have to pay when you're over certain income ranges. You start losing deductions. You start losing credit. So there is, yes, the scale goes up, but what is not realized is it's not just that percentage. Things start changing, and you start losing deductions and credits as well. So as you make more money, you do pay more tax. Now, I know there was a whole lot of talk about Donald Trump. Does he pay taxes? Does he not pay taxes? And I'm not saying one way or the other good or bad about Donald Trump. I'm not talking politically, but he's just been in the news media because of that. they said, well, he doesn't pay taxes. Well, because he had what we call a net operating loss, and which means if you lose money, you carry that loss forward. Sure. And it means you spent more than you made, and you had a negative income that year, and then the tax code allows you to carry that loss forward and write it off other income. So you're not making any money because you lost it in other years. So I know a couple of years ago that when Mitt Romney was running, they were claiming, he paid 12% tax or whatever it was. He had published his tax returns. You can go look at it. They were using politically, they did a very nice job with it and got him in a corner. But if you looked at it, he paid less a percentage when you looked at his income because he gave like $2.5–3 million away. They weren't looking at his taxable income. They were looking at his total income and comparing his percentage to that. Not a fair thing to do. No, so there's a lot of things that you can do. Golfing to deduct is not one that you can. Gotcha. That one doesn't work.
So when people say, we need tax cuts for the lower class, they're not really paying income tax anyway, are they?
A lot of depending on the income, they don't pay tax, and sometimes they even walk away with more money than they've ever paid in tax. There's earned income credits, there's other credits, there's child tax credits, there's child care credits. So a person can make a reasonable amount of money and basically pay no tax. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but a few years ago I ran some numbers and figured that a family of 4 with 2 kids under the age of 14 had to make about $80,000 before they paid a dime in income tax.
So when political parties or people say, well, there should be tax cuts on middle class, the rich get the benefit of tax cuts, is that because they're paying the most tax?
Well, if you look at the
generally speaking,
the numbers, any tax cut is going to mean the people that pay the most tax are going to get the greatest benefit out of it because they pay the most. It's just how numbers work.
Yeah, right.
Now, you can politically say whether the rich should pay more, pay less. That's a different discussion entirely. But if you're going to say we're going to give tax cuts, do the rich benefit the most? Well, yeah, because they pay the most. So it would just be it's a numbers game.
Right. Is it a good idea to start a business?
Well, when you define a good idea, what do you mean by that?
People say,
do you want to lose your hair? Oh, yeah, that's a great way to do it.
I just did a class up at the Small Business Development Center at OCC, and you do some teaching up there too, and they help
do a nice
people
job.
Start their business and make sure they cross their T's and dot their I's and get it going. And it seems like there's 2 kinds of business starter people. There's people that go, I'm working for my boss and I could charge half of what he does and they usually fail. And then there's people
until they start charging as much.
And then there's people that are maybe more deliberate in the way they do it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people starting side gigs. That's the big thing these days. And side gigs,
side hustles.
Okay, side hustles. That's the term.
Yes, I hate that term.
Yeah, and they don't. It's a hobby mostly. They don't. A lot of them don't make much money, but some turn into something. Is it a good idea to start a business? It depends what you want to accomplish. If you think you're going to get rich starting a business, it probably not necessarily, but if you treat it like a business, you start up, you want to do something great. I think it's a wonderful idea. It gives you the freedom. You don't have to worry about somebody else laying you off. My father worked at a big company. I watched him basically be a slave to that company for years. So I decided years ago I was never going to be a slave for another company. If someone's going to be a jerk boss, it was going to be me.
Right. Yes. I was a slave for many years.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Now I'm an indentured servant.
There you go. Well, Tom's DJ business is a side hustle, but he's been hustling for 40 years.
Yeah, right.
So he has a reputation. It isn't like, hey, I'm going to make a quick buck. Yeah. That's, he has a reputation in the space, and people hire him for his skills, and it's, I don't know, the hustle seems like it minimizes.
Yeah, it does. It makes it sound dirty, that it's just a hustle.
You're working hard. Hustle's working.
Well, that's true too.
If you have tax questions, business questions, there we go. Do the hustle. Call George, 701-1120.
Yes, sir.
701-1120, gpowers.com. gpowers.com. Thanks for coming, George.
G Powers, thanks for stopping by. See you later.